Amazing. Cool. So we're actually going to start with a little bit of meditation this morning. So sit on a block, a bolster, a pillow, whatever feels comfortable to you. And then just let yourself kind of find a comfortable seated position. I like to have my hands turned up. This is quite open, but if you feel a little bit more comfortable with the hands down, or even like in the lap or on the belly, feel free to do that. I just want you to really explore kind of what feels good to you. And then bring the eyes to close. And just let the head kind of tilt slightly forward. So almost like the chin slightly tucking towards the chest, but not too intensely. And then just take a big breath in. And then open the mouth and just exhale it out. And if you feel like you need to do a couple more of them, feel free to just do a couple more clearing breaths like this. Eventually settling into a bit of stillness. Eventually letting the belly be soft. Good. And so we're going to do, it's an observation meditation, and it's got a little bit of visualization, and I love visualization because it helps us to stay present. So I am going to take you and I'm going to plunk you into a fish tank. You can breathe underwater, so it's totally fine. So imagine that you're shrinking in size, shrinking, 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 and then you're just gently settling onto the bottom of the fish tank. And if you want, keeping the eyes closed, you can just take in the fish tank. Maybe there's some shiny pebbles at the bottom. Maybe you're sitting on a big old rock. Maybe there's some fish floating by. But just really take in that surroundings. And so what we're going to do in this meditation is just simply observe our thoughts. And as you kind of identify a thought, maybe it's, why has Megan put us in a fish tank? Then you'll see that thought kind of come out of the head into a bubble. And then you're just going to watch that thought float to the top of the surface of the fish tank. And as soon as that thought hits the surface of the water where the air is, that thought is just going to burst. Boop. And that bubble's going to burst. And then you're just going to gently bring your attention all the way back down. And we're just going to do this for about 3 minutes. Okay, so nothing too massive. So just trying to stay with the visualization. Any thought that comes, oh, this isn't working. That's a thought. Put it into a bubble, let it float to the surface and pop. Okay, so just settling into this and see how you get on. I'm just going to mute myself just for a moment because the bin men are outside and I want it to be quiet for you. So just stay focused on what you're doing. You've got 1 minute left. Stay with it. Stay in that fish tank. Last 2 thoughts that you're going to send in those bubbles. Nice. And then just gently start to flutter the eyes open, just slowly taking in your surroundings. Don't rush to look at the screen. Just notice what's in front of you. And then just gently lift the head up so the eyes are parallel to the floor, and just gently dropping one ear towards the shoulder. Doesn't matter which one. If you want to deepen the stretch, you can take that hand and just rest it onto the side of the head. And then bringing the head back to center, gently drop it over to the other ear. Maybe the hand comes on top, just stretching into that side of the neck. Nice. Gently come back to center. You're going to bring your hands behind you, interlace the fingers, and then just press those knuckles down towards the mat. Tuck the chin to start. Just feel the front of the chest lift. And then if you want to, you can bring the chin up. So just opening up the front line of the body. Nice. And then releasing those hands, coming into tabletop position. If you're sitting on a block or a bolster or anything, just move it in front of you. Bringing the hands onto the mat and just start to create some circles really gently. So you're just massaging into the wrists, creating some nice circles here. And then switch up the circle, coming the opposite direction. Nice. Alrighty, coming back to center, we're going to take some cat-cows. Inhaling, sit bones rise, chest comes forwards. Exhaling, pushing the floor away. Keep moving through your cat-cow, but I want you to start to initiate that movement from the pelvis. So almost like a Mexican wave. Start from the hips and then see if you can undulate the rest of the spine following on from that tailbone. You might move a little bit slower than you normally do, so it might require a bit more focus than you're used to. But just seeing if you can feel into the vertebrae a little bit more, feel into the different components of the spine. Nice. And then come back to center. Keep your left hand on the mat and just peel that right hand up to the sky. Reach through those fingers, look up to that top hand if you can. And then we're going to thread that arm underneath, taking the ear and the shoulder onto the mat. Nice big twist, bringing right ear onto the floor. And then walk that left hand forwards. Walk the fingers as far forwards as you can, finding that length. And then maybe start to walk those fingers over to the right. And just seeing how that feels when you walk the hand over and you start to pull that shoulder back. And then start to bring that hand up to the sky, wrap it around the waist, and just tease your shoulder open. Breathing here. 2 more breaths. This is a big twist on thoracic spine, your sacral spine. If your hand's around your back, if you feel the lower back, it's almost completely straight, completely square. And then unravel left hand, place it onto the mat, push the floor away, lift all the way up your right hand. Now from here, you're going to extend your right foot back, opening into a supported side plank. Lengthen through that arm and then bring that arm over the head, letting the ears soften here. Nice. As you inhale, bring that hand back up. See if you can lift your foot off the floor at the same time. Exhale, bring the foot down, bring the arm down, find that side stretch. Good. If this is too tricky on the balance, just keep the foot down and just work on the arm lifting and lowering. But if you want to use core and challenge balance a little bit, then lift the leg and the hand at the same time. When you lift the foot off the floor, kick into the heel. We'll do 2 more. Good, staying lifted. Maybe look up to that top hand, holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Look down, bring the hand and the knee onto the mat. Take those knees nice and wide, toes come to touch. Sit back into child's pose. Lengthen out those arms and eventually bring the head to the mat. Walk the arms as far forwards as you can. Take a big inhale through the nose and then just open the mouth and sigh it all out. Nice. Plugging the hands down, pull yourself back up into your tabletop, knocking the knees back in, hands come underneath the shoulders. This time, right hand stays put. Start to take that twist as you peel that left hand up to the sky, looking up to those fingers. Exhale, threading the arm through, taking the ear and the shoulder down onto the mat. Start to walk the right fingers forwards, lengthening. And then start to walk the fingers over to the left. Stay here for a moment. How does this feel? Does it feel a little bit more open or does it feel tighter than the first side? Then that hand comes up to the sky, wrapping it around the waist. We're just going to stay here for about 5 breaths, trying to tease right shoulder back. Breathing here. Trying to open up the chest. You might feel really stuck and that's okay. One more breath. Nice. Slowly start to unravel. Hand comes back onto the mat. Peel and twist here. Hand comes all the way up to the sky. You can take your right foot slightly out to the side as you send left leg back. So right foot, if you take it out to the side, is a little bit easier. Turn the palm to face forwards and then bring that arm over the head, letting your right ear soften towards your right shoulder. Nice. Choose one thing to look at as you inhale, lift the hand, and then see if you can lift the foot as well. Exhale, bring them back down, opening into that stretch. Inhale, lift. Good. We'll do 3 more. Every time that foot comes off the mat, flex it so the muscles are engaging. Good. The next time that you lift, you're going to stay here. If you want to challenge balance, look up. Really actively pressing into that right hand, grip through the fingers. Nice. Gaze down, hand onto the mat, knee onto the mat. Keep your bum nice and high. Walk the hands 45, coming into puppy pose. So slowly starting to sink the chest towards the mat. You can use a block underneath your head. If this is too intense, okay, if you're like, I just don't want to stretch my shoulder this much, take your arms in, sort of bending at the elbow, palms come on top of the forearm, and then you can just let your head rest, okay? So it's a different variation of puppy. If you're in puppy pose, then just work on allowing the chest to kind of drop towards the mat. Draw the navel in slightly towards the spine, just so that you're not dumping into the lower back. That way where you're sending the stretch to the shoulder, not into the sacral spine, into the lumbar spine. Nice. Lift the head, look to the hands, and slowly walk those hands back in. Nice. So it's your choice. I'm quite comfortable sitting on my heels like so, but if you feel more comfortable lifting off the heels, that's an option, or you can sit cross-legged. So it's just whatever works for you. I'm actually going to stay this way. So we're going to come into a couple shoulder stretches. We're going to use our strap. So take the strap into your right hand to start. Bring that arm straight up to the sky, bend the elbow, and just let the hand kind of drop down. Left hand is just going to grab a hold of the elbow, okay? So left hand is going to grab a hold of that elbow. Now inhale, find length all the way through the sidelines of the body. And as you exhale, you might pull that arm over. Now, what you don't want to be doing is like hunching. So if you don't have the space for that, let the elbow go. You might not even be able to grip the elbow. That's okay. Inhale, find length, finding that space along the side body. Exhale, pulling the elbow over. Make sure that you're not turning into a hunchback. You want to be able to open up through the front line of the chest through all of these shoulder stretches. Good, okay, left hand is gonna release. It's gonna come behind you and you're going to grab onto the strap, okay? So you can see that my fingers aren't really gonna come to connect. So I hold onto the strap and then I walk my hands as high up the strap as I can get. And then from here again, we wanna make sure that we're not hunching over. So you wanna be able to sit up nice and high. And you'll probably feel this more on the bottom shoulder, but you might feel it somewhere completely different. And we're gonna hold this for about 60 seconds. So if it's too much, just loosen on the strap a little bit. Work on aiming to get that right elbow to point up to the sky, but it might not at the start. Aiming to feel a broadness across the front line of the shoulders rather than them collapsing in. Breathe. And just trying to find a bit of release here. Some people can get those fingers clasped together really easily. I could when I was a kid, I can't anymore. Shoulder injury kind of did me in on that one. Always feels like I'm quite close and then I actually see where my hands are and there's no chance. Good, and then just release and just roll the shoulders a couple of times, okay? A couple of times one direction and then a couple of times another direction. So just releasing them. And we'll just do the same thing, but on the other side. So strap in the left hand this time, hand comes up and behind you. Right hand, if you can reach the elbow, is going to grab that elbow. Again, just make sure that you're not kind of sending the head forwards. Now, if the head's coming forwards, it just means tightness in the shoulders. So you need to work on trying to get that elbow back. So you might not be holding on to that elbow. Finding that stretch along the side body. Opening up as much as you can, breathe, okay? We need shoulder mobility and breath go hand in hand. If the shoulders are tight, our breath is going to be a little bit tighter as well. Good, release that right hand. It's going to come behind you. Grab a hold of the strap or the fingers if you're blessed with very flexible shoulders. Again, try not to round here. So opening, if it means that you have to let go of the strap a little bit, let go. Eventually, we want the left elbow to point directly up. Okay, you can see mine's out on a bit of an angle. And this is just because of a bad shoulder injury. I want it to go up there, but that's too intense for me and I have to sort of tilt my head. Nice, about 30 seconds left. Just breathe deeply. Good, and then release. Woo. Roll the shoulders again, a couple of times one way, a couple of times the other way. And then just grab the strap behind the hands and just pull the strap away from you so that you're opening up across the front line of the chest. Nice and close hands. Good. Okay, from here, now come on to the knees. Okay, if you need to double up your mat, if you're on a hard floor, just double up the mat, triple up the mat, whatever you need. Toes can be tucked or untucked. It's really up to you. Hands out in front. Take them quite wide to start. We're going to inhale all the way up. Keep the arms straight. Ooh, and get that stretch. Okay, you're going to feel it across the front of the chest and into the pecs most likely. Try not to go in a windshield wiper. So arms might have to go wider, strap might have to be wider. And try not to go really quick, okay? So if you can go this quickly, it's because the strap is too wide. You want there to be a bit of resistance. You want there to be that stretch. And then once you find where that stretch is, you want to slow down through it. And you probably want to do about 5 to 10 at that distance of the strap. And you'll notice that the intensity of the first one will start to go away. It won't be as intense because you're stretching into it. So for me, it's already way easier. I can still feel it, but before it felt like I had to stop. Now I can kind of move through it quite easily. And if it becomes really easy, then bring those hands closer together. We'll just do 3 more. Trying to keep growing through the crown of the head, keeping the spine nice and long. Last one. Good. Right. So just place the strap beside you. Take your mat, extend it all the way in front of you, and then come on to your bum. So from here, we're going to come into a really nice wide Baddha Konasana, and we're just going to let ourselves fold. So feet come together, feet away from the pelvis. 2 options. You can flop over those legs, or you can thread them underneath. So just whatever feels better. Let the head go and just notice how the back feels. Do you feel like you're a little bit tighter today? I always find that the colder it is, the less mobile I am, hence my love of hot yoga. But on a day like today, the last few days as well, you might be feeling a little bit more like the Tin Man. And if that's the case, and you practice Ujjayi breath is where you constrict the throat. It's a really nice option to kind of stoke the internal heat of the body. So just build some warmth. Good. And then slowly rise yourself back up. Okay, so we're going to come into double pigeon. Double pigeon is a tough hip stretch, okay? It might not be tough for you. It's tough for me. What I want you to do, we'll start with the left leg. Left shin, you don't want the heel towards the pelvis. So normally when we cross our legs, heel comes in. You want the heel away so that your shin is parallel to the mat. And then right leg, you're going to bend that leg and you're going to try to place your foot on top of your knee. Now you can see how tight I am here. If you look like me, bolstering up the bottom knee can make it easier. Okay. If you're like, this just isn't happening, or it's too intense in the top ankle, straighten the leg. Okay. Then you just have right leg. Okay. So right leg bent. Now, arms, we want to have a straight spine. So if you're hunching, hands behind you, work on sitting up nice and tall. I'm really tight today. This is such a challenge. Usually I can manage it somewhat. So find that length and then just start to tease the chest forwards. If you're more mobile, hands maybe out to the sides. If you're very flexible, you're coming over those legs. I like to flex my feet. It takes some of the pressure out of the joints, okay? Pressure out of the ankle joint and the knee joint. Once you're in the position, okay, and if you have the legs straight, you're going to be working on coming further forwards. Good. Breathe. Keep lengthening the crown of the head up and thinking about hinging from the hips. So try not to round the upper back here. Keep everything nice and long. It's a blizzard outside my window right now. Good. Okay, we're going to slowly come out. I like to lean back into my hands, place both of my feet onto the mat, and do a little windshield wipe. So just releasing any tension. Good. And we'll go straight to the other side. So now right leg is going to be the bottom leg. Again, try to shuffle the foot away from the pelvis, and then left leg on top. Okay. Again, I like to bolster up my bottom knee. That's because I'm not that flexible. Okay. So I keep that there. Hands behind me, lengthen my spine, and then work on coming forward. Some people can get their legs directly on top of each other, totally fold and come forwards. Everybody's hips are so, so, so different. Again, if this is too intense on the top ankle or the knees, straighten the bottom leg. So right leg straightens. Nice. And we'll just take 10 breaths here. So close the eyes, try to elongate the exhale. Just a couple more breaths. Stay with it. Flex the feet. That supports the joints. Good. Okay. Send the weight back into the hands. Ooh, release the feet and take a gentle sway from side to side, just releasing any tension. Good. Okay. From here, you're going to come into a nice wide-legged position. So you can grab your legs and kind of encourage them out if you want. If you feel really hunchy, okay, rounding the back, sit on a block. You should feel like the butt cheeks are on a conveyor belt going behind you, and you've got this really nice tilt forwards in the pelvis. So if you're struggling to get that, if you feel more like you're going to do a roly-poly backwards, sit on something. Legs are going to flex, finding nice height. And then as we exhale, we're going to let everything go. Feet soften, round the back. If you do have a prop handy and you want to use it, go for it. Otherwise, just dangle in space. It's really passive, so just let yourself be heavy here. Don't worry if you're sitting up really high, okay? Everybody's going to be somewhere else, somewhere different. Just let those feet be soft. Couple more breaths. Good. Keep the head heavy and slowly start to walk yourself back up. Take your time. Hands come underneath those knees. Ugh, bending the knees, spinning yourself around. Grab a hold of those knees and just gently rock yourself onto the mat. Taking a little sway from side to side, massaging out the lower back, and then grabbing your strap. So coming into those lovely hamstring stretches. So taking the strap around the left leg, right foot, let's start with right foot on the mat. Take the, by right leg, I mean, take your left foot onto the mat, right leg in the strap. Confusing myself here. Take the leg forwards so that you can straighten it, flex the foot and kick into the heel. Engage the quad muscle. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, just gently start to encourage the leg. Now, I want us to not be torturing ourselves. So soften the face. Remember, this is nurturing flow. This is restorative. This isn't anything too crazy. You can also do dynamic stretching. So dynamic stretching is where you go into the intensity of the stretch and then you bring yourself out. So it's kind of a little bit more bouncy. So just finding the stretch that works for you. If you want to, you can straighten the left leg. It will make the stretch more intense. If that's too intense, then rebend the knee. And again, just breathing through it. Good. Take the strap into the right hand and we're just going to let that leg come out to the side. Keep the left butt cheek down. Find that point where you can't go anymore and then start to stretch the toe towards that right ear. Again, you can do dynamic stretching, kind of coming in and out of it, or you can just hold it and breathe. Really try to push that left butt cheek down, keeping the left hip from trying to sneak over to the right. Good. Switch on adduction, bring that leg back to center. Take the strap in the left hand, right hand extends, bringing that foot all the way over to the left. So this time, right butt cheek can come off the mat. Once you're there, start to pull the toes towards the left ear. Eyes can be closed. Breathing through it. This one for me is the most intense. Good. All the way back to center. We're just going to do 3 more breaths in that straight leg stretch. Every time you exhale, just trying to take it a little bit deeper. And then just release. Let that foot go all the way onto the mat. Stay there for a moment, just feeling into the body. And then bend both knees, placing them onto the floor, sending left leg up to the sky. As you straighten that leg, let it come forwards, flex into the foot, toes dialed down. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, encourage that foot towards you. Don't encourage it so that you bend the knee. Keep the legs straight. If you want to do those dynamics, just kind of coming in and out. Sometimes it's nice because you kind of go beyond and you can really feel that stretch with the dynamic stretching. And if you want, you can straighten out that right leg. It will make the stretch more intense. Good. Strap goes into the left hand. I like to take my right hand or the opposite hand onto my hip. As soon as you feel the hip lifting, press it down. Once the leg's as far as it can go, then pull the toes towards the left ear, keeping that right butt cheek down. Good. Gently guide it back. Take the strap into the right hand, rolling that foot over to the right. Look to the left. Flex that foot again. You may have to send the leg further down the mat and then start to tease that foot up towards the right ear. It might be miles away. Don't worry about that. And then all the way back up, straight back into your straight leg stretch, maybe seeing if you can take the foot a little bit further than you normally do. Breathing here. Nice. From here, lift your right leg, place that right foot into the strap. Flex both feet and try to come into this stretch with both legs. And just notice how that feels. Flex the feet, so trying to kick into the heels, toes towards the face. Couple of deep breaths here. Whew. Where do you feel it the most? Is it in the feet, the ankles, the backs of the knees? Good. And then start to bend the knees. You're just going to release your strap and come into happy baby. So grabbing the outer edges of the feet, pull down, try to get the arms to the outsides of the legs. Trying to get the knees in towards the armpits. And if your tailbone's lifting, just tease it towards the mat. You might not be able to get it all the way down. Do your best. Flattening out that spine. Slight tuck of the chin. And maybe taking a gentle sway from side to side. Nice. And then release the feet. Take the arms into cactus and let's just do a nice supine twist. So knees drop to the right, look to the left. Convincing your left hip over to the right and your left shoulder down into the mat. And then back to center. Drop the knees over to the left. Convince that right hip over towards the left as you press that right shoulder down into the mat. And then all the way back to center. You're going to wrap your arms around your knees. Give yourself a nice big hug. Squeeze yourself as tight as you possibly can. And as we exhale, we're going to make our way into Shavasana. If you are cold at all, you can grab a blanket or a jumper. Otherwise, just let the body extend, palms facing up. Maybe slight tuck of the chin. Back of the feet nice and heavy. Glutes releasing down. And just slowly start to tune in to this heaviness, this weightiness, this complete and utter stillness. Slowly start to deepen your breath again. And feel like the whole thoracic chamber, the torso, the ribs, the chest, the belly, they're expanding with every inhale, out, up to the sides, into the mat. And as you exhale, everything's just neatly drawing all the way back in. And just stay with that expansion and that retraction. And then start to wiggle in the fingers, wiggle in the toes. Maybe even gently rocking the back of the head from side to side. And just keeping everything really fluid and organic. Take a nice big stretch any way that feels good to you. Just lengthen the body. Eventually rolling over onto the left or right hand side. And when you feel ready, coming into a seated position. Coming full circle today, we end as we began. This cycle of our practice, noticing the changes, perhaps physical, perhaps mental, maybe emotional or energetic. Just really tuning into the benefits of your yoga practice, of your breath, of your meditation. And then we inhale, bringing our hands high above the head. And as the palms come to touch, just take a moment to give yourself some gratitude. Letting the thumbs drop to the space between the brow for kindness in your thoughts, to the lips for kindness in your words, and then resting at heart center for you to carry kindness, compassion, and action through the rest of your day. Opening the eyes. Well done. Namaste. Well done, guys. Hopefully feeling a little bit more open in that thoracic chamber, the area of the breath.